Speaker.
I call Matt Ducey.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. It gives me great honour and privilege to rise and speak to this very important bill. Just following on from that previous speaker, I am a bit concerned and not sure about the Greens' position. My understanding that gas exploration and export took the pressure off and retired coal mining, so I'm not very much sure on their position today. But I rise and speak, Mr Speaker, on the Exclusive Economic Zone and Continental Shelf Environmental Effects Transitional Amendment Bill on the first reading. Very much looking forward to following this bill through the legislative process of this reading, the Select Committee work and its second and third reading. So could I take the time to acknowledge the Honourable Nick Smith, our Minister for the Environment, for his leadership and work in protecting the environment, and also take the opportunity to acknowledge our Local Government and Environment Chair of the Select Committee, Scott Simpson, for his leadership and work in steering this committee in very important work it is. So, Mr Speaker, this bill is small, it's simple and effective in allowing existing operators who have applied for maritime consent to continue operations until the application is decided and any subsequent objections or appeals are determined. Simple, small and effective. I wrote down a few things. I normally have a look at a checklist, I thought, for this bill. Does this bill support our fourth biggest export commodity earner? Tick. Does this bill avoid the closure of a gas field at $40 million a day? Tick. Does this bill protect 300 jobs? Tick. Does this bill support existing operators to transition into the EEZ Act? Ticked. And does this bill protect $800 million worth of taxes and royalties from operators in the sector that pays for public services such as schools, hospitals and roads? And very importantly for the Greens, does this bill support the retiring of coal mining by supporting gas exploration and exporting? Tick. So for me, Mr Speaker, even though this bill is small, simple, effective, it's got a lot of ticks. The opposition have also talked about this legislation as being poor, but really the reason for this amendment, Mr Speaker, it's no different than businesses and organisations do every day up and down the country. It's around business continuity and looking at risk management. And very much what we're doing around business continuity is ensuring with risk management it is business as usual. And very much that's the focus of this bill, Mr Speaker, is ensuring we're moving as business as usual. So very much you'd find in my region of Canterbury, post-earthquakes, a lot of businesses and organisations are focusing on business continuity. And in this case, it's for the Shell Todd Oil Services, because if they cease operation in the Maui field, Mr Speaker, it's a cost of $40 million a day. And our gas is the top fourth export commodity of ours, and it's 20% of our gas exploration. Another reason why I think we need to support this bill, Mr Speaker, this amendment is very much about maturity and growth of legislation. We've got a newly established Environmental Protection Agency who over the last 4 years, in their words, are moving from establishment to consolidation and very much overseeing the Exclusive Economic Zone Act. And what we need to do is promote sustainable management of our natural resources. The EEZ is approximately 12 to 200 nautical miles offshore, and it covers areas of the sea, the seabed and the subsoil. So what we're looking at this amendment is the maturity and growth of this legislation. And I must say, Mr Speaker, it was great to hear the EPA talk today about how our public submission process is unparalleled, and that's because New Zealanders expect to have face-to-face time when they make submissions around the environment, and it's great to see that we're supporting that. This is a technical bill, Mr Speaker, and I'd just like to take a bit of time talking about the technical aspects of this bill. This bill amends Section 162 of the Exclusive Economic Zone and Continental Shelf Environmental Effects Act of 2012. Section 162 allows existing petroleum operators who are permitted under the Crown Minerals regime to continue their existing activities for the duration of mining permits or privileges. To continue operating once mining permits or privileges expire, existing petroleum operators must have marine consent under the EEZ Act. Currently, Section 162 does not allow existing petroleum operators to continue activities while marine consent application is being considered by the EPA, and any objections or appeals are determined. This is uncertainty of how long it takes to resolve appeals, which creates unnecessary risk, Mr Speaker, around transition of existing operators into the EEZ Act. So just to summarise, Mr Speaker, I think this is an important amendment, and very much it's supporting our natural environment, which is our greatest asset. And National believes that successful economic and environmental policy can and must go hand in hand. It's interesting, parts of the opposition think it's only them that can stand up for environmental interests. But I would challenge that, because I would say it's intrinsic to every New Zealander and every Kiwi about protecting our environment. And this government has taken great steps in not only protecting the environment, but ensuring we have economic development. We, as a small country, Mr Speaker, need to increase our exports. It's the way we will improve the well-being of our people. This government has a very aggressive growth agenda in doubling its exports. And I must say, coming from an electorate like Waimakariri, which survives on its primary production, it's fantastic. And that primary production supports everyone in the local community, right down to the dry cleaner, the dairy operator, and the person making the cappuccinos. So, Mr Speaker, I'd very much support this bill, because what we need to do is protect the $800 million in taxes and royalties from companies operating in the sector each year, which helps pay for our schools, our hospitals, our roads and other essential infrastructure. Thank you, Mr Speaker.